yoga, it is coming from the root word yuj, so which means to unify or to unite. Okay, so here it is unifying the body, mind, and spirit. So it's a similar concept what we see in Ayurvedic medicine, right? Ayurvedic medicine also, it's a holistic approach of living, which actually combine the body, mind, spirit, right? The same way the unification is the yunchadi yoga. So unifying is the key objective here. So it's a system of practice that encourage the harmony and union of body, mind, and spirit. And it gives the sense of oneness. That is the main thing here. So this holistic way of living lead to a state of complete physical, social, mental, and spiritual well-being with the harmony with the nature. Very similar concept what we see in Ayurveda. That's why people call yoga as a sister science of Ayurvedic medicine. So here, if we look at the yogic philosophy, asana is only one part of yoga. Asana is not everything about yoga. And so in complete Ashtanga yoga, what it talk about is we have to expand the personality to merge with the totality. That's what's happening here. If you look at all the yama, niyama, etc., which I will talk a little bit, I'll touch there. But that what happened is you are expanding it from the individual personality. Each time when we practice yoga, actually it's raising self from normal level to the greater human being, to the superhuman being. And then we can say the divine human being, and then reach into the ultimate state of realization. That's what the union happened, the union of the ultimate state of realization. So here mind is an important part, right? You can see that. It's so external, that discipline in life we are learning, and also internal discipline, ethical part of living. And then controlling the mind is a key part here. So mastery of the mind is very important. So that's why it say the mana prashamana, calming the mind. So the yoga is getting more and more popular also because of that concept. The very important part is it helps to calm the mind. That's what it is different from other type of exercise too. It influences the mind a lot. So objective of the yoga, if you look at, it say the chitta vritti nirodha. So here you can see the use of body to gain this mastery over mind. So when you do the asana, first, it may be difficult for you. You won't get the balance, or certain part of the body is very painful. And then you take a deep breath, controlling with the breath, and also you're calming the mind. You're relaxing the mind, bring your awareness in the certain pause, and then you control the mind to stay in that pause without making too many movements. Right? So even while doing the yoga, we are trying to get the mastery of the mind. That's the beauty here. So the gain mastery of the mind through the physical body, that's what happening through the asana. Same way, gain mastery of the mind through controlling the breath. That's what happening in the pranayama. You can see that when you are anxious or very much worried or certain situation, what happened is your breathing get increased, right? When you're stressed out, your breathing can increase. When you're in a state of fear, your breathing get increased. The number of times of breath per minute is increasing. But doing the yoga, consciously making an attempt to slow down the breath. What happened when you relax, you can see that that breathing is slowing down automatically. The same way, by doing the yoga practice, we are consciously making an attempt to slow down the breath, which has again indirectly controlling the mind. So gain mastery of the breath through the pranayama, gain mastery of the mind also through the asanas. Both are important for the well-being. So what we can see is, since few decades now, yoga is getting more and more popular, right? 36 million Americans are practicing yoga actually. I think this was the 2012 or 14 data. And about 300 million yoga practitioners are there worldwide. It may be more than that. Between 2012 and 2016, number of Americans doing yoga increased to 50% actually. I believe there are about 6,000 yoga studios in US. And another recent data from the National Health Survey indicate that among the complementary and alternative medicine, one of the emerging field is yoga. More and more people, number of people using every year is getting increased. And now yoga is also moving to the hospital-based care. So approximately 1 in 3 Americans have tried yoga at least once. So the number over 50 practice yoga has tripled over the last 4 years. And in general, I believe flexibility and stress, to improve the flexibility and the people who are suffering from stress, these are the more people who want to practice yoga actually. And yoga business is another emerging field. There are, so you can see that in the yoga studio, so many things they are selling, right? So Americans spend about 16 billion about on yoga classes, clothing, equipment, and accessory every year. So you can see that it is one of the growing business nowadays. So, and you maybe also see now the word yoga therapy, right? Yoga therapy also, common yoga therapist and yoga therapy is also another commonly terminology. And I get the question, what is this yoga therapy? So I would say that it is the process of empowering individual to progress towards the improved health and well-being by using the philosophy and application of yoga, practice of yoga. So certain disease specific condition, you will be able to recommend the yoga. We have to be careful even in US now. We don't want to say complete cure using yoga, right? It is a little, the terminology is a little challenging, but basically there are so many research studies now which is showing that yoga can be used in treatment of the disease as an individual modality, also as a complement with the other healthcare system. So total about nearly 14 million Americans, that is 6.1% of our population, say that a doctor or therapist has recommended yoga to them for their health condition. So that's more promising situation here in US. A doctor recommending the yoga to their patients. Okay, and this one I got it actually 2012 survey data. So a recent summary indicate that there is relatively strong evidence that suggests the yoga may have a beneficial effect for mainly pain, actually pain associated disability and mental health. That's where another big challenge right now. The pain is managing the pain is more challenging situation. And it is showing that for pain, the patients with the pain and also mental disability and mental health, stress, anxiety, depression, and various type of disability, yoga play a major role actually. So that is like really promising, and this survey data help the yoga profession to grow much more further. But so what we can say in general, yoga is a complex intervention which include the components with a varying degree of physical movement, mind-body exercise, in-depth and philosophical teaching. So some people always say that yoga is, there is a public perception is yoga is only about the physical movement. It's an exercise, just an exercise. But yoga has beyond the meaning, beyond that actually. It is the mind-body exercise. And also there is a complete philosophy built on that, which I'm going to talk about. What are the main philosophy? I'm not sure, how many of you have heard about Ashtanga Yoga? You heard about Ashtanga Yoga? It's 8 limb, like same way Ashtanga Ayurveda is there, right? The 8 branches of Ayurveda. Similarly, there is Ashtanga Yoga concept also is there. So the first one is Yama. Yama is, it is a ethical discipline actually. It's it includes non-violence, truthfulness, and also non-stealing. and walking with the awareness of that existence of the supreme energy or supreme, that reality, remembering the divine, and practice the presence of superior energy, and not having that possessiveness. Okay, to tell it is easy, to practice all this stuff is difficult. So I had a yoga teacher in my hometown. So what you have to go through this step by step. It's not always immediately get into the asanas class. You have to go through practice yama for a few months, then practice niyama for a few months, and then enter into the asana. So yama is actually, it teach you to how to behave, have that ethical discipline in your life. Same way in Ayurveda, we have a daily routine, seasonal routine, right? That is actually, it's a discipline also. The practice of that help to develop the discipline in life. And niyama is more like internal moral or ethical strength. Here, it's mainly talk about like cleanliness, purity of body and mind, and having that satisfaction or contentment in your life. Feeling like, if you don't have that satisfaction, then you will be never be happy person. So these are the spiritual building block. Actually, here spirituality is not about the religious purpose. To understand, actually have that satisfaction and building that positivity, training the sense organ, and having that interest, self-study, and surrender and dedication to the supreme being. That comes from the niyama practice. That's why it is considered as internal or moral strength or ethical strength part. So next one comes the asanas. You all know about asana is a yogic practice, right? Different type of asanas are there. The West and European country, everywhere yoga is known based on asana practice, because it gives the comfort, like, the usual feedback when the person attend the yoga classes, they feel more flexible, they feel more light, they feel more relaxed. So it's an easy pathway to reach into that state of mind. And pranayama is a proper breathing for a vital energy. Pranayama, it's a breathing exercise, we can call it. Okay, asana is a different poses, and pranayama is a breathing exercise. And another one is the pratyahara. Pratyahara means it's a withdrawal of senses from the external world. And dharana is a concentration or mental focusing, or fundamental to the yogic meditation. So you can see that all these things, part of yoga. Yoga is not just the breathing exercise. Yoga is not just the asanas or the different poses. There are so many other components also tied into yoga. The last two, one is dhyana. Dhyana is actually the meditation. And last one is the samadhi. Samadhi is the supreme state where one experiences the unity of consciousness actually. So they feel inwardly one with the feeling of infinitive peace, and that merging with the cosmic consciousness happen in the state of samadhi. So these are the 8 limb system of yogic practice. So if you practice all these 8 limbs, the last one, samadhi is the last state, but at least yama, niyama, asana, pranayama, pratyahara, dharana, dhyana, at least that. If you practice, you can develop the discipline. It will be very easy for you to connect to yourself, understand your own body. You will be more connected. That harmony between the body and mind easily can be achieved by going through these practices. So the primary goal of yoga, actually, it's a self-realization, or the union of self-consciousness with the supreme consciousness. So research interest and participation in yoga for health-related outcomes are increasing nowadays worldwide. There are some studies shows that yoga is beneficial for hormonal regulation. There are highest research, actually, hormonal regulation, stress and anxiety, insomnia, and then various type of sympathetic activity in the nervous system, and also betterment of the physical health. And then you can see that also evidence shows that it improves the flexibility. It's good for cardiorespiratory system health. and improve the metabolism, improve the digestion, improve the circulation, and even behavior. The getting angry or more depression, anxiety can address through the yogic practice. So effect of yoga on the endocrine system and nervous system and physical health are documented with the high frequency literature. So it's not just the yoga is just for exercise, or it's not just overall wellness we can use it. Even certain disease, along with the Ayurvedic herb, along with the Ayurvedic diet, yoga can be given to address that condition. So there are disease-specific yoga asanas or breathing exercise are there. Even there are much more similar, like a concept of panchakarma. The yoga also have some detoxification therapy, and which I'm not going now, but that little more higher level of yoga practice. Okay. And it's say we have a vamana, right? Similar like vomiting therapy is there in yoga. So that you can see the very similarity, actually. The principles of yoga, the modalities explained is very similar. And the objective is, the same yoga and Ayurveda. It's connection of body, mind, and spirit. Addressing the well-being of the body, mind, and spirit. When we talk about health in the perspective of Ayurveda and yoga, we cannot separate the three components. The strongest empirical evidence suggests that yoga's capacity to regulate hormone is a factor in providing health benefit. So there are studies which is looking at the decrease of cortisol level, increase of serotonin level and melatonin level following the regular practice of yoga. That's why yoga is very helpful for even insomnia condition. Okay. So what I wanted to show is, there are certain diseases. I just looked at some literature and then find out if there are some studies done, research studies done to address this condition with the yogic practice. So I'll just showcase a few studies so it's not just, I just want you guys to know that yoga is also an evidence-based science. There are so many research actually back in India happening about the yoga, and even here in US also, NIH also giving some of the grant for yoga based studies. So studies are happening in the field of research, studies are happening in the field of yoga as well. I would say more than Ayurveda, the studies are happening in yoga. So that's why yoga is an emerging field, and I can see that next few years maybe yoga will be every county, maybe you can see yoga center, right? You can nowadays also, even in the airport you have the yoga. Some restaurant, actually, I don't remember which country I saw, there is a small place they have kept for waiting. That restaurant is always very busy, and then instead of waiting you can go and do some asanas. So yoga is there everywhere. You can see that the growth happening now. So one study about stress, anxiety, and depression. The studies done by West et al. Shows that yoga decreases anxiety and stress level and salivary cortisol as well as plasma renin levels, and 24-hour urine and norepinephrine and the epinephrine level. So what it shows that regular practice of yoga helped as a co-management of stress-induced disorder. You can include that. That's what this study is showing, not an independent practice, as a co-management. So another study with the University of Utah showed that among control subject and yoga practitioner, the functional magnetic resonance image, so MRI, so the studies use the MRI actually to measure the changes. Yoga practitioner had a higher pain tolerance and lower pain-related brain activity in the MRI report. So role of yoga in regulating the pain response and associated stress was studied here, and it is proven. There was another study for obesity and overweight. The study was done by a Balaji et al. That indicate that yoga asana and pranayama for 3 months continuously, 1 hour every day. So asana and pranayama, including 1 hour every day in the morning. So yoga expert result in a decrease in the body weight mass index and also waist hip ratio. So Along with Ayurvedic medicine, maybe we can recommend there are certain asanas specific for the weight reduction and specific breathing exercise for the weight reduction. So we can combine that. So another study from Jawaharlal Institute, it's in India, the study showed about hypertension. Pranayama at the rate of, pranayama is a breathing exercise, at the rate of 6 breaths per minute, reduce the heart rate and systolic blood pressure and in a hypertensive patient within 5 minutes of practice. Look at that. And the study, we have to look at the long-term benefit also, but this study actually look at 5 minutes of practice itself, the breathing exercise brought that much changes. And this may be due to the normalization of autonomic cardiovascular rhythm as a result of increased vagal modulation or decreased sympathetic activity. So yoga has the ability to influence the vagal modulation and also decrease the sympathetic activity. Then there is another study which is on diabetes mellitus. This study was done by Balaji et al. And yoga, asana and pranayama for 3 continuous months, 1 hour every day in the morning, decrease the fasting as well as postprandial blood glucose level and the acetylated hemoglobin. So the study was done for 3 months actually. Everyday practice of 1 hour practice of yoga helps to reduce the blood glucose level. And there is another study also done that yoga, asana and pranayama practice after 40 days of practice shows that reduced blood glucose level. So, and also not only that, they developed a sense of well-being within 10 days. And there was a lowering of anti-diabetic drug. That is a huge achievement, right? Lowering, if we can reduce the anti-diabetic drug. And another important part of yoga is it helps to improve the quality of life. There are so many research studies actually, yoga practices and improving the quality of life. Actually, SCU published one study. I was part of that. It is a systematic review we have done looking at the quality of life and improving in the influence of yoga in a chronic disease management. So not only treating the disease, it also influences overall well-being of the patient. And that is something very important actually nowadays. And even lipid profile or significant lowering the total cholesterol level after 40 days of practicing yogasana and pranayama. So coronary heart disease is another condition. The study was done on this also. Yoga exercise increase the regression and retard the progression of the atherosclerosis in patient with a severe coronary artery disease. And there is another study by Yogendra et al. Indicate that coronary artery disease patients showed yoga-based lifestyle and modification, and it helps to regression of the coronary lesion and improving the myocardial perfusion. So yoga is a very effective modality. Or as a co-management, we need more and more studies to, to make more generalized result. But this study result does show that it is one of the, it's very helpful for managing the disease. Okay. And the next one, then they talk about the overall well-being, as I said. So the take-home point, what I wanted to share here is yoga is the science, it is beneficial for the all dimension of health. It's for, as we talk about in Ayurveda, we mentioned it's health promotion and wellness care, as well as disease management. It's a physical, mental, social, and spiritual. All the aspect, it has the influence. And at the same time, yoga helps to promote the harmony with the nature and promote the health and wellness as well as in the management of the certain disease. So it's a discipline which is based on the extreme subtle principle here. It's complete whole science. There are different, yoga anatomy is a complete different science. There are different koshas explained. You will learn in your yoga class actually. So it's the discipline which is based on extreme subtle principle or subtle science, which include the several aspects, but the core principle here is bringing the harmony between the mind and body. That's the core principle. You as a person evolved If you're looking at the 8 Ashtanga Yoga, which I mentioned earlier, the complete picture, what it shows is it's evolving. Each discipline helps to understand, learn certain discipline in life and bringing a good personality, which is very helpful to others, helpful for the society, and also it's good for your own body and mind, and to achieve the state of peace or harmony, and achieve the state of unification with the totality, unification or understand or realize the ultimate truth in life. So yogic practice, that's how it influences the behavior. Yogic practice influence the physical well-being because of the asanas, and yogic practice influence reach the ultimate state of that happiness. Because you will, when you leave that possessiveness, when you really know what is the purpose of this life, right? When you understand the real core of what this life means, then you don't worry about too many things, what's happening around us. Your state of mind will be always in a blissful state. If you have to stand on a one leg for few hours and all, you need that controlling of that mind part there. Without controlling the mind, you cannot do that certain asanas. So the controlling of the mind doesn't come over one day or few minutes. It's a practice, practice, practice. When you get anger, not to react to the anger, it's a controlling of the mind. Yoga teach you that. Yogic philosophy talk about that. When you feel sad and understanding that, why am I sad? This doesn't have much meaning. It's okay. And that forgiving to yourself and forgiving others, that teaches through the yogic principle. That is the spirituality principle here. Yogic, like keeping that always in that ultimate realization, what it is, why am I here? And a person should have that internal discipline as well as external discipline. That's what it's taught. So I'm really happy all of us are here, and we need to spread this science to our community, make them to understand, the value. The yoga is, today is actually what I wanted to communicate with everybody is, yoga is not just about the asanas. Yoga is beyond, it's a complete science. So educate that to the public, your patients, whenever you can, wherever you go and talk about Ayurveda, talk about yoga as well. We can help the people. And I can see in few years, majority of the hospital will have one section, which is, now how the physiotherapy is there, similar to that, yoga therapist will be there in the hospital-based setting. That is another emerging profession as well. Because the more and more people are using yoga, and then now the doctors are aware of it. Now more and more research studies happening and showing that yoga is very effective. And that will be the next step now to get into the different healthcare setting. And I know that VA setting also, they have yoga practice for PS, post-traumatic stress syndrome patients. And also various different disease conditions they are addressing through the yoga practice in some of the VA setting. So I can see that a great future, and I'm sure you all know that yoga is practiced in the past, thousands of years back. Yoga is practicing now, and yoga will be practicing in the future with much more stronger evidence, and as well as more and more acceptance is going to happen. So thank you everyone for coming here and joining us in the celebration of International Yoga Day. And actually I got a message from the Indian minister. Let me read that. It's a beauty. I felt really interesting actually. Give me 1 second. So it's what it says is the idea of International Yoga Day was first proposed by Prime Minister Modi, which I mentioned already in 2017. So they have created a logo, and I didn't know about this, the meaning of this logo. So if we look at the logo, what it says, we discovered that union of hands and union of hands symbolize the spirit of yoga. Let me show you. I think I have that. Hopefully I can share the screen. Give me 1 second. Can you see my screen? Okay, good. Yeah. So what it says is slideshow. Yeah. So what it is actually, the hand union, where is it? Logo. Union of hands symbolize the spirit of yoga, union of individual consciousness with the universal consciousness, a perfect harmony between the mind and body, the deep union of man with the nature, and the holistic approach to the health and well-being. That's what the hand holding together indicate. In the logo, the brown leaves, there is a brown leaf, right? This one. That actually symbolize the element of earth, and green represent the nature. Blue is the element water. The brightness expressed in the logo is the vibrant force of the element fire. The sun symbolizes the primary source of energy and inspiration. And so the logo reflects the harmony and peace for humanity, which is the very essence of yoga. I kind of felt it's really beautiful concept. They creating that structure, the logo, and all over the world, actually, millions of people are celebrating the yoga day today, yesterday and today. That's what they did it, both the days they celebrate. June 21st is the actual date. In India, it's already finished. But thank you very much. Namaste, everyone. So happy to see you all here, and really thank you that joining this celebration. I know it was a short notice, but hopefully we can do next year a little more bigger, and we will be on campus at that time. That makes a huge difference, when we get together. But thank you very much. And now I would like to have Dr. Amy Wheeler.
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you for inviting me, even on short notice. I was very happy to participate, and just very lovely talk that you just gave, Dr. Anu. And it, even though you and I didn't communicate, it flows right into what I'd like to talk for just a few minutes about, and then do a practice together, awesome, if everyone is willing. So
sure.
Would you like me to go ahead and get started?
Yes, please. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So my name is Dr. Amy Wheeler, and I've been a professor of kinesiology at California State University, San Bernardino for 23 years now. I always tell Dr. Anu that my dream is to work at SCU. As much as I love my current school, I just feel like what all of you are doing at SCU is so amazing. It is on the cutting edge, really. It's exactly what you had said, Dr. Anu, that this is where medicine is headed, and you guys are the pioneers. So I know that sometimes it probably seems hard to be a pioneer and be at the front edge of change, but I just want to encourage you all to keep going, because you are the future, So just as Dr. Anu was saying, I want to share a few little visuals here that I like to use. I have a yoga therapy school, and we talk about health and healing, as Dr. Anu was just saying, on all the layers of the human system. And this is just kind of a little map that I sometimes use to introduce my students to the idea of how to use yoga therapy on multiple layers of the system to burn off the mala, or the dirt, or the things that are kind of clogging us up and stopping us from moving forward in our lives. That when we start to kind of burn off that on multiple layers of our human system, that the prana starts to flow. And we all know that when the prana flows, our life unfolds in front of us in a very different way. So we in yoga therapy talk about, which asanas will you do, what food will you eat, how will you practice self-care. And I think there's a lot of overlap with Ayurveda in all of this. And then on the physiological layer, how is our lifestyle? What time are we going to bed? How much stress are we having? These types of things. And how can we use pranayama to really clean up our subtle mala? And then looking at our mental state and, observing as we go into our practice every day, what are we thinking about? What are the stories we're telling ourselves? Where is it that we have avidya or lack of clarity? And a lot of that comes up during meditation because you're trying to meditate, but instead your mind is taking you to all these crazy places. And it's through daily meditation practice, which is part of yoga, obviously, that we get to watch and see what's actually happening in our minds. I think so many times we are used to just running through our day and reacting all day long that we don't sit and get still and kind of watch our minds. Sometimes it's not even about getting a quiet mind or linking to a higher power. Sometimes it's literally just like, wow, my mind is crazy today. So that daily practice of asana, pranayama, meditation really helps us to clean up all of those mental patterns that are no longer useful for us. And then another area is the personality mala, looking at our relationships with our loved ones, with our colleagues, our bosses, our students, our teachers, our friends, and really using our relationships as a reflection as to how well our yoga or yoga therapy is working. So what Dr. Anu was saying about, do you feel happy? Do you feel content? Do you feel pleasant? Is your personality full of peace and kindness and love and sweetness? Well, I think our relationships show us that. And so in yoga therapy, we place a lot of emphasis on looking at how our relationships are unfolding in front of us. And if it's a disaster in several different areas simultaneously, we have to look inward and say, okay, who is the common denominator here? I'm having trouble at work. I'm having trouble at home. I'm having trouble with my kids. I'm the common denominator. What is it that I need to work on? So then we can go back to our asana, our pranayama, our meditation, and start working through those things and then getting counsel, right? From a wise teacher or a psychologist or an empathetic friend or a yoga therapist, and figuring out, okay, where is it that I'm having trouble? What am I not seeing? What do I not have clarity about that's causing me to continue to suffer in my relationships? So that's a big part of yoga therapy. And then the spiritual or the emotional blocks that we have, the mala or the dirt in the spiritual realm is, I don't trust myself. I don't trust the divine. I'm fighting reality. I will not accept this situation as it is. I want it to be different. I'm not able to surrender to something larger than myself. I have really strong preferences. It has to be my way or I can't be happy. And so a lot of times in this realm, the tools that we use are things like chanting, looking at the spiritual texts, comparing our thoughts and words and actions to what the spiritual texts are saying, the Bhagavad Gita, the Mahabharata, the Yoga Sutra. We really can help people come to a place of clarity in their mind and in their heart through self-reflection, what we call svadhyaya. So when we teach yoga therapy, it goes far beyond a group asana class, which is also wonderful. We love group asana class, but I really think that's a completely different area than yoga therapy. Yoga therapy is much more in alignment with all of the principles of Ayurveda, and looking at these 5 layers we call the Panchamaya layers, the 5 layers of the human system, and choosing specific tools for that individual, because we basically do an assessment of all of this, and then we write a daily practice and we write daily lifestyle routine for them to basically clean up the mala or the dirt in their lives. And then what tends to happen over time, and again, this is called the Prana Mala Agni model. What happens over time is that as we burn off this mala, right, the dirt on any of those layers that I just showed you, we clean all that up. We clean up our personality. We clean up our lack of spiritual trust. We clean up our mental patterns and habits. We clean up our physiology, all the studies Dr. Anu had just talked about with diabetes and hormones. We can clean all that up and clean up our physical body, making it light and open and feeling good. Once we clean up that mala, the prana starts to flow, right? And so the more mala we burn, the more the prana can flow. And that's when we start to feel light and spacious, and we don't have strong preferences anymore. We allow life to live through us. We have more acceptance. We start to be more happy and more content. And so really, when I look at the way that I conceive the difference between yoga and yoga therapy, it's that there's this individualized assessment and an individualized way of, giving the client a daily practice that works just for them, because we all have different problems and it's not a one-size-fits-all approach. So with that, I thought, unless somebody has any questions or comments, I'm welcome to take 3 or 5 minutes if you want to ask any questions about that, because for some people, yoga therapy is kind of a new thing. They haven't heard too much about it. But then I'd like to just jump right in and do a nice little 45-minute practice and kind of experience how it is that we could design an individualized practice for someone. So do we have any thoughts or questions or comments? You could type them or you could ask them if you want. And Mila, I'll also say that Dr. Anu is still on the spotlight. So when we go into the practice, I think it will be more beneficial if I could be on the spotlight, because there we go. Yeah, perfect. I'm putting a different camera on too, so that it has a better view of the yoga mat over there. So no questions? You guys are just ready to go? Does everyone have a yoga mat, and do you have your yoga clothes on to go ahead and do this? Oops, I think Dr. Anu is back on the spotlight again. I don't know what happened. She's taking over. It'll just be...
How do I change it?
I think... oh, there we go. I'm back.
Oh.
Perfect. Oh, wait a minute. So what's happening is... there we go. So as long as you stay on mute, Dr. Anu, I think it should stay with me. So are you guys ready? Would you like to do some yoga this morning? All right. So let us, we went back to Dr. Anu. I'm going to pin my own video and just make sure that I'm the one who's going to stay on. All right. So in yoga therapy, a lot of times, as I said, we would naturally have an assessment done of the individual and really look at how it is we could treat whatever they specifically are going through on any of the layers of their human system. So I was hearing Dr. Anu talk about how some of the research is showing that we can regulate hormones through a regular yoga practice. We can help with diabetes. We can help with weight loss. All of those things are of great interest to me. That's kind of my specialty. And so I've designed a practice today to help you see what it might look like if we were having someone that came to us who had diabetes, who also maybe had some hormonal imbalance, and who had some weight to lose. So the practice that I'm going to show you is going to assume that that's the kind of person that we're working with today. Okay. I should also tell you that I have a 90-pound dog that came yesterday and hit me in the knee from the side. And so there's some poses that I'm not super excited about today because my knee doesn't feel great. So there may be a couple of poses that instead of doing them, I'll just talk you through them and do my best to describe them. Okay? All right, so when we're working with someone, you can go ahead and come to your mat. When we're working with someone who has a high sympathetic tone, meaning they're stuck in their sympathetic nervous system, which causes those hormonal imbalances and also can really affect the blood sugar levels, we like to kind of insert pranayama into the asana. So it may seem very strange to you today, but I'd like for you to just give it a try. It is a different way of experiencing yoga asana, but I think afterwards you'll see how magnificent you feel after a practice like this. So let's start with the strap. If you have a necktie or even a sock or something, if you don't have a strap, that's fine. Just start with your feet hip-width distance apart. And remember, this person has a little extra weight and they have diabetes. So we have to not push too hard here. All right. So just standing for a moment and tuning into your breath, just feeling your breath come in and out of the nose. Try not to force your breath at all. Just let your breath be easy. And then as you feel ready, we're going to do all movement only on exhalation. So you're going to have to get your head around this. Inhale, stay still. Exhale, let the strap float up. Inhale, stay still. Exhale, let the strap float down. All movements on exhale. Inhale, stay still. Exhale, move. Pull your belly in just a little bit. Inhale, stay still. Exhale, lower. Please do that 2 more times. Inhale. Exhale, pull the belly in and move. Inhale. Exhale, move. Last time on your own. Okay, now we're going to do the same thing in Uttanasana, or standing forward bend. You could bring your hands all the way down to the floor if you like, or because this is a person who has a little extra weight and is diabetic, I'm going to demonstrate hands on the stool. Okay, so as you feel ready, facing whichever direction is good for you. Inhale here. Exhale, arms come up. Inhale here. Exhale, move into Uttanasana. Inhale, stay here. Exhale, reach up. Inhale. Exhale, hands down at the sides. We're going to do that 3 more times. Inhale, stay still. Exhale, reach up. Inhale, stay. Exhale, move. Inhale, stay. Exhale, reach up. Inhale, stay. Exhale, down. All right, 2 more times on your own. Keep your mind, your body, and your breath all going in the same direction. Don't rush through it. Keep your breath slow and steady. When you finish with your last one, just come back and check in mountain pose. And notice if your old habits, your old samskaras kind of took over and you just wanted to do it like you always did, or if you could actually get yourself to move only on exhalation, which tends to put us in a nice parasympathetic response. Okay, we're going to do the same thing with a few other poses. We're just going to keep this technique called Angalaghavan, which means lightness of the limbs. So again, if you want to come all the way to the floor, you go ahead. I'm going to demonstrate with a little stool, but just start with your big toes touching and turn your right foot slightly out to the side as you step your left foot forward. We'll be going from Virabhadrasana 1 into Parshva Uttanasana. Okay, so inhale here. Exhale, bend your left knee and come up with goalpost arms. Inhale here. Exhale into one-legged forward bend. Inhale, stay here. Exhale, back to warrior one. Inhale here. Exhale, straighten the leg, lower the arms. We're going to do that 3 more times. Inhale, stay. Exhale, warrior one. Inhale, stay. Exhale, Parshva Uttanasana. Inhale, stay. Exhale, warrior. Inhale here. Exhale down. Now, can you do the last 2 on your own? Every time you find yourself going back to your old pattern, bring your mind back to the new Angalaghavan pattern. Get your body, your breath, and your mind completely focused in this practice. Making this your last one. Keeping your breath slow and smooth, long and smooth. What the Yoga Sutra says is Dirgha Shukshma. Coming back to Samastiti. Again, checking in. Going back to your normal breath pattern. And we'll do the same thing 4 times on the second side. So this time turning your left foot out, stepping your right foot forward. Inhale, stay still. Exhale, bend the right knee, come to warrior one. Inhale here. Exhale, forward bend. Inhale here. Exhale. Inhale, stay. Exhale, straighten the leg, lower the arms. Please do that 3 more times using concentration. Keep your breath very refined, very subtle. One more time. When you finish with that last repetition, again, come back to Samastiti. Check in. Let your breath go back to its natural breathing pattern. Again, can you make your breath long and smooth? Dirga Shukshma. And when you're ready, open your eyes. We will go into twisted triangle, Trikonasana Parvati. Again, if you love to go all the way hand to the opposite ankle, you can do that. But for someone with diabetes and a little bit of extra weight, I'm going to demonstrate with a stool here. So just going to the left side of your yoga mat and then taking a great big step open to the right to your comfort level. And then as you feel ready, just inhale, arms up. We're going to go back to regular breathing here now. Okay, so inhale here. Exhale, your right hand can go anywhere along your left leg. Your left arm can go to the sky, or you can modify to the stool. Inhale back to center. Exhale, other side. Inhale, coming up. Now, when you twist, I want you to engage like a little Uddiyana Bandha here. Exhale, engage the abdomen as you twist in. When you come up, inhale, release the belly. And then when you twist to the other side, engage the Uddiyana Bandha again. 2 more times to each side. That little engagement of the lower abdomen is so good for people who have diabetes and a little bit of extra weight and even hormonal imbalances. This last time, when you bring your right hand to your left leg, stay, hold the pose and breathe. Several breaths here. Finishing your last exhalation. Inhale, come up, and we'll do 3 to 4 breaths on the other side. Exhale, go in. Make the breath long and slow and smooth. Finish your last exhalation here. And then inhale, come up. Release the arms down, step the feet together. Come back to Samastiti. Once again, checking in. Noticing if there is any shaking of the body or the breath. We always want to work within about 60 to 70% of our capacity, and that will grow over time. But we definitely don't want to push to 80 or 90%, which will cause prana prakopa, or angry prana. So bring your heart rate down. Go back to your normal breathing. Checking in with body, mind, and breath, and knowing that if at any time you feel like it's too much, you can always just sit for a moment and watch the postures. You don't have to do every single one. But if you'd like to continue, we're going to go into Utkatasana, or a squat. Again, if you don't want to do the full expression of Utkatasana, you don't have to. This person might prefer to have a chair behind them as they come into the squat and go into Ardha Utkatasana. But let's go ahead and give it a try. Let's bring the big toes to touch. This is a great pose for weight loss. Interlace the fingers and press the palms away. Inhale, arms come up. And then on the exhalation, you can either go halfway down or all the way down. Uddiyana Bandha, take the belly in. Inhale, come up, and let's do that 8 times. Exhale, either all the way into a full squat or halfway down, you decide. That's 2. Big inhalation, extending the spine. Exhale, pull the belly in. Release the belly as you come up and extend. This is number 4. Please do 3 to 4 more. Gentle Uddiyana Bandha each time. Make sure that you're keeping your breath smooth. Two more. And when you finish, lower the arms, unlace the fingers. Just work any tension out of the upper back, the neck, and the shoulders. Checking in again, slowing the breath down, bringing the heart rate down. Again, always working at about 60 to 70% of your maximum, so as not to agitate the prana in the body. Remember, we are working to burn off the mala so that the prana can flow, but we don't want to create angry prana as we do that. Okay, so now I'd like to have you come all the way down onto the floor. Come onto your back. Come onto your back, lying down on the floor. I'm going to change my camera a little bit. And once you lie down on the floor, if you could just rest with your knees bent and your feet flat on the floor, and place your hands on your abdomen. Now we're bringing the mind to this area of the abdomen. If you have someone with diabetes, there's a good chance they will have a round apple shape. And as we rest here, I'd like to do some breath ratios and gently pull the belly in with some Uddiyana Bandha, very slowly with the breath count. So the breath count is going to be a 4-count inhalation where we let the belly expand, and then an 8-count exhalation where we're slowly pulling the belly in 1 count at a time. And I'd like you to pull the belly in as I count so that it matches the number of counts. And by the time I get to 8, the belly button is pulled all the way down towards the spine. Now remember, we don't want to push to 100%, so don't pull it in too forcefully, but try to time it with my counting. If you want to let your knees kind of flop together, you can do that. Eyes are closed, hands on the belly for a pranadharana or a focus, concentration on the belly. So inhale through the nose, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale through the nose, but gently pull the belly in, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, release the belly, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, pull the belly in slowly, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Continue on for 6 more repetitions of 4 count inhale, 8 count exhale, gently pulling in the belly with a little Uddiyana Bandha every time you exhale. You can begin whenever you're ready and keep your mind fully on your abdomen and the gentle pulling in. Slow it down if you can. Slow down your counting, slow down the pace at which you gently pull the belly in. In essence, you are doing pranayama ratios while you're doing asana. You're getting double for your time and focus. Last breath here. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then as you're ready, release your hands down to the sides of your body. Go back to your normal breath pattern. Checking in again. How are you feeling? Body, mind, and breath. And then the next pose that I'd like to share with you is called Tadaka Mudra or tank pose. So just stretch your legs out long with your heels and your big toes touching. Interlace your fingers and then flip your wrists so that your palms are facing away from you. On the inhalation, let your arms come straight up overhead. And you really want to have a lot of length in your body. You want your arms to be very straight and very firm. You want your palms to be pushing away from your head and your feet to be pushing away from your belly. And now we're going to do some Uddiyana Bandha, again with an 8 count exhalation. So this is almost the same thing that we just did, but with a little more space in the body, kind of pulling the organs out of the way. So inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Let the belly expand. Now take the belly in slowly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Inhale, release the belly for 4 on the inhalation. Now exhale, 8 count. Pull the belly in slowly. Inhale, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Continue on for a few more breaths on your own. Please make this your last repetition. And as you feel ready, softly release your hands down and let your fingers release from one another. Rest here for a moment. And as you feel ready, just bend one knee at a time, bringing your feet flat to the floor. If you can, tilt your low back a little bit so that it rests nicely on the floor. After that, Tadaka Mudra, sometimes it feels good to press the low back down towards the floor again. We'll just do a little counter pose for Tadaka Mudra, going into Apanasana, into Urdhva Prasrita Padasana. So hands on the knees, feet off the floor. On the exhalation, just gently take the knees in towards the chest. And on the inhalation, stretch the legs up to the sky. Let the arms come up and over to release the shoulders. Exhale, Apanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Prasrita Padasana. Just go back and forth a few times. Thinking about releasing the shoulders and upper back on the inhalation, and then releasing the low back and the hips on the exhalation. 4 more times, just like that. Make this your last repetition, and you'll finish with your knees folded into your chest and just resting with your knees into your chest. As you feel ready, you can roll over onto your side body. And if it feels good, you can sit on the floor. But if you'd like to sit on a chair, that's fine too. Many times when people have diabetes, we do a pose called Mahamudra, or a modification of it, I should say. So I'm going to do it sitting in the chair. It might be best if we all do this together because it's a little bit complicated to describe both the floor version and the chair version. So if you don't mind coming up to a chair, that would actually be easier so that we can stay within our time limits today. So sitting in a chair, I'm going to have you bring your legs wide apart. right? And then I'd like you to take your right hand on top of your left knee and then pin it down, a great seal with your left hand, and your arms are very energized. Tuck your chin into Uddiyana Bandha, and I want you to work, tuck your chin for Jalandhar Bandha, and I'd like you to still work with this Uddiyana Bandha, okay? So the chin is tucked, the spine is straight, eyes are closed, starting to go inward. Inhale here. Exhale, a firm Uddiyana Bandha, gently pulling the belly in. Inhale here. Slow exhalation, taking the belly in to about 70%. Few more breaths here. Last breath. Traditionally, we'd probably do about 8 breaths to the left, 8 to the right, but today I'm doing just a few less because of our time constraints. So when you're ready, release that hand. Just rest in the middle for a moment, check in. We'll do the same thing to the other side. Left hand on top, on the knee, right hand on top, arms are straight, spine is straight, chin is tucked into Jalandhar Bandha, and then we're going to work with the Uddiyana Bandha. So inhale, long, slow exhale, gently taking the belly in. And just do that for several breaths, releasing the belly each time. And your mind is very much focused on the pulling in of the belly on the exhalation. So body, breath, and mind are all going in the same direction. Please make this your last breath. Then release the abdomen, release the hands. Come back to center, checking in, working out any tension. And then just placing right hand on right knee, left hand on left knee, coming to the center. We're going to do a few more breaths in the center position with a little bit of Uddiyana Bandha and Jalandhar Bandha. So again, inhaling here. Focus on the abdomen. Exhale, 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 exhale. Release the belly for the inhalation. And just do 4 more breaths on your own, just like that. Full concentration. Last breath here. And then release the tension in your arm, your upper back, your neck, and your shoulders. You can bring your legs together a little bit if that's more comfortable. And the last part of our practice is going to be around creating some nourishment. Oftentimes with diabetes, as well as hormonal imbalance, as well as weight loss, the person is actually not getting proper nourishment in their lives. So they're using food as their primary way of becoming nourished. And we want them to find many other ways to feel nourished so that they don't always have to go back to the default of nourishing through food. So let's do a little chanting, bringing the hands to your heart. And the chant I'm going to share, usually in yoga therapy, we do very simple chants, is ma aham, which means I am nourished. All right, so let's start with the right hand. And I actually want you to exhale the right arm out. So exhale out. And then inhale, silently chant to yourself as you bring the hand in, ma aham. Now it has to be silent because you're inhaling and you can't chant and inhale at the same time. Let's do that again. Now the left hand, exhale out. I'm going to chant. You do it mentally. Inhale, ma aham. I nourish myself. A few more times. Exhale out. Inhale, draw in the nourishment. Ma aham. Exhale, let it go. Pick up the nourishment, draw it inward. Ma aham. Do that 4 more times, right hand, left hand, silently. When you finish with your last one, just keep your hands on your heart. Close your eyes and just feel. Be present to yourself in this moment. You want to continue silently chanting ma aham in your mind's eye. You can take that with you all day long. Anytime you feel like you need nourishment, you just silently chant to yourself, ma aham. Remembering that there are many, many ways to feel nourished. And finally, we must de-link from our practice and move back into the world. So as you feel ready, just start to wiggle your fingers and your toes. Start to open your eyes and stretch up. Start to re-engage in the world. Breathing through your mouth. Waking up a little bit. Just coming back to this space that we've created together today on International Yoga Day, June 21st, 2020. And coming back into the space that we've created together. So welcome back, everyone. So nice to see you.
Thank you, Dr. Amy. Just really great presentation. Thanks a lot for like great combination of theory and practical session. Thank you. Really enjoyed. And you have a really beautiful setup. Like, it was perfect. The camera focusing and everything. Really great.
Good. So we have about 3 minutes before Arun Deva is going to bless us with his presence today. Are there any questions about that practice? Because I know sometimes yoga therapy can seem quite different than a regular yoga class. You know, in that one, we were focusing on hormones and diabetes and weight loss. Was it very different for all of you or not so different? I would just like to hear your experience and see if you have just a couple of quick questions.
You can open your microphone and speak if anyone have question.
Yeah.
And Dr. Amy, I believe you also give training, right? You are the founder and director of Optimal State of Living program, and you provide the yoga certificate program.
Yeah, we do the 800-hour IOIT certification. So you can, I just typed in my website if you're interested in contacting me. But,
great, thank you.
Okay, well, I think we'll hand it over to Arunji. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much. Namaste. Arunji, are you here?
I am.
Oh, yes. I can see the colorful background. That's beautiful. So Arunji is also Ayurvedic practitioner and a certified yoga therapist. And you also actually recently chaired the Ayurveda Yoga Therapy Committee for NAMA. So we are so blessed to have you, Arunji, here. And I was telling Dr. Amy also for last minute notice, you both agreed, and really we are thankful for that. And thank you so much. And we are eagerly waiting for your presentation. Thank
you. So, Dr. Anu, first of all, thank you so much for asking me. I'm tickled pink. I'm very happy to be able to do this for you. And as I understand it, we are in the presence of some of your students.
Yes.
Wonderful, wonderful. And they're all studying Ayurveda with you.
Yes, majority is an Ayurvedic practitioner or wellness educator. And today is a Father's Day, and not so many people could not make it. So happy Father's Day too.
Thank you. Yes. So, so if it's all right with everybody, I'll just start with a little chanting because that's a big part of Ayurveda. So I will chant to the three deities that I usually chant to before I start anything because it helps me. And then of course I'll chant to Patanjali, who we consider the father of yoga. Om Gam Ganapatiye Namaha. Om Ham Hanumate Shri Ramadutaya Namaha. Om Hrim Shri Lakshmi Dhiyo Namaha. Vande Gurunam Charanarvinde Sandarashita Swatma Sukhavabodhe Nishriyase Jangalikaya Mane Samsara Halla Halla Mohashantiye Yogena Chatasya Padena Vacham Malam Sharirasya Chavedyakena Yopakarotam Pravrammaninam Patanjalim Pranjaliranatosmi Abahu Purushakaram Shankara Chakrasidharanam Sahasrashirasam Shwetam Pranamami Patanjalim Srimate Anantaya Nagarajaya Namo Namaha Smadacharya sarvebhyo namo namaha. So, first of all, I'd like to say thank you to Amy. Her presence is always so calming, and her intelligence in yoga is just, she embodies yoga as therapy. Absolutely, there's no question about it. Any chance I get to take a class with her, which unfortunately is not as much as I would like, I'm there. And so thank you I only caught a few minutes, but feel really good after watching you do that. So Dr. Anu has asked me, when she asked me to do this, I said, well, what would you like me to do? And she said, can you talk a little bit about what is yoga? So I think as yoga teachers, we are asked this question very often, what is yoga? And I think, I know that very often we will answer what we think yoga is, or what we feel yoga is, or what we believe yoga is. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to just say, well, if you want to know what yoga is, why don't you go to those who taught yoga first? And so I'm going to tell you what Patanjali says yoga is. So Patanjali writes a text called the Yoga Sutras because you are Ayurveda students. Some of you may be coming from the yoga background, so you may know this. And some of you may not be coming from a background and not know it all and may have this question in your head. Both of you may have this question in your head. What is yoga? So if we go to Patanjali's text, and that's where I'm going to go, because it is a traditional teaching of yoga, and in fact, it begins by saying very clearly, the very first sutra, the very first chapter is, I'm going to tell you what yoga is. So this is actually very interesting for two reasons. One, immediately you know what the text is about. So if you're not interested in yoga, you can leave. You don't have to stay. He's made it very clear. This is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to talk about yoga. The other aspect of it, it's actually Atha Yoga Anushasanam. What he's actually saying is, I'm going to tell you what yoga is. I'm going to tell you what the tradition of yoga is. I'm going to tell you what traditional yoga is, what the true yoga is. So that's another interesting thing, because he's not saying I'm creating yoga. And at the same time, he's also saying something that all of us can relate to. There is so much out there about what yoga is. Can somebody please tell me what yoga actually is? Because even back then, he has to say, let me tell you what the traditional meaning of yoga is. So that's number one. He gives us the traditional meaning of yoga, and it turns out yoga means meditation. Turns out yoga means quieting the mind. Turns out that the reason we do yoga to quiet the mind is so that we can watch all our patterns and begin to understand that none of them are us. And that as the mind quietens, we get to a point where we may see who we really are. So that is one thing. That is the traditional meaning of yoga. But then he starts the second chapter by saying, Tapaha Swadhyaya Ishwar Pranadhanani Kriya Yoga. So he's given us another yoga, the yoga of action. And this yoga of action is very interesting. It is three-part. One, the effort you are going to make. Two, the studies you are going to put into it. And three, you are not going to get attached to it You are going to do it with detachment by surrendering whatever comes to you, whatever fruits come to you, by surrendering them to a higher power. So that becomes the second definition of yoga that he gives. So why is he giving two definitions? Well, he starts the text by giving a definition that is of the end goal of yoga. So then meditation becomes the end goal of yoga. He starts it this way because if you are ready for it, why should I waste your time? I'll take you straight to the end goal and put you there, and that's it. But let's say you listen to him and he tells you all about the end goal, and you get to a point where you say, well, this is wonderful, this is beautiful, but I don't think I'm in a position to do this. So then he will say, okay, well, then what can you start with? Can you start with tapaha? So what is this first step of tapaha that is going to take us to the end goal of yoga? What is this first step? Tapaha here, as per the commentary on this text, and some believe, and I agree with them, so that's just a personal feeling. Others may not agree with it, but I agree that the commentary, which is called Patanjala Yoga Shastra, is also written by Patanjali. But in this guise, he says Vyasa, because Vyasa means scribe. So it's not referring to Vyasa in the sense of Vyasa who may have, given us the Mahabharata, but it is referring to Vyasa as Patanjali as a scribe. So he is giving a commentary on this text. So it accompanies the text. So in this one, he says that tapaha here means start at the very beginning, start with this. This is the first part of yoga. If you're starting your journey into yoga, start with this. Two things: what you put into your mouth and what comes out of your mouth. Tapaha here means mittahar and mittabhashya. What you put into your mouth, food. Mitta, controlled, of exact correct amount. Not more, not less. Start with that. Mittabhashya, what you put out of your mouth, speech. Just the correct amount. This much, not more, not less. Swadhyaya. Here, swadhyaya means studying appropriate text. You are going to learn what yoga is? Study texts on yoga. What are the texts on yoga? Oh, this is beautiful. The Vedas. What he tells us is that yoga comes from the Vedas. So just study the Vedas. So today I would say to study yoga, find a good teacher. Find a teacher who's had a teacher, whose teacher had a teacher, who's had a teacher had a teacher. So you can go this way and know that the teaching is coming from a tradition. That's number two. So find an appropriate teacher. You cannot go very far into yoga if you do not do that. Third is Ishwar Pranidhan. Here it means surrender to the Lord. So what is the Lord? The Lord is the highest aspect. The Lord is the highest vibration. The Lord does not need to be Vishnu, does not need to be Shiva, does not need to be whoever. The Lord is the highest principle you can think of. Can you surrender to that? And so here also it is believed that what we are saying is that here you must begin the process of chanting, because it is through chanting that you begin to surrender the ego. So really that's what it is, you surrender the ego. So this is the second yoga that he mentions. The third yoga comes halfway through this text, this chapter, sorry. Halfway through this second chapter. Because the rest of the time he convinces you that this is what you're going to get as you do this. Then you'll say, okay, I'm ready. I am willing to eat less. I am willing to eat an appropriate amount. I'm willing to speak only appropriately. I am willing to study the text. I am ready to surrender the fruits of this. I want what you are offering. I want to find myself. I want to rid myself of suffering. I've come to understand what suffering is, and now I want to remove the suffering. So now what should I do? Now where should I go? So here he says, yama niyama, asana pranayama, pratyahar, dharana dhyan, samadhiyo bhyaha, ashtavangani. There are 8 steps. These 8 steps, if you can do these 8 steps, the final step itself is that meditation that we talked about. They are when I say they, because he specifically breaks meditation into 3 parts: dhyan, dharana, and samadhi. To the point that when he lumps them together, he calls them samyama. All 3 together is samyama. For our purposes, he tells us the 3 stages of meditation. First one is dharana, second is dhyan, third one is samadhi. Together, they're called samyama. But there are 5 other steps that have to be taken prior to this, and they are preparatory for this. And so they're called bahya anga. That means they're steps that relate to outsides of the meditation. So the first of them is called yama. Now here, yama, and it's interesting that the god of death in Sanskrit is yama. So here what we are saying by yama is control. Now, how I like to explain yama, because I think it's very important to understand yama and niyama and understand their importance, because there is a reason why he has put them in this order, that they come first before you do your asana. Because if you can embody, to some extent, to whatever extent is possible for you, yama and niyama, then your asana will be much more powerful, and there'll be much less chance of it. See, asana is very, very strong. So yes, it being that strong, we're attracted to it. And being attracted to it, one of 2 things, or both things can happen. One, we may push ourselves to a point where we hurt ourselves. If you think about it, there's such a big need for yoga therapy now. And quite honestly, much of that need is within the yoga community itself, because the way we embraced yoga, which is now become a synonym for asana, many of us, including many teachers, found ourselves hurt. And so it is possible that if we had embodied to some extent the yama and the niyama, we might have been more careful in our studies of yoga. Yoga here being what yoga has come to mean today, which is a classroom, a teacher, and students, and some practice. Much of the practice isn't even asana, because you don't stay the minimum of 20 seconds within each of those postures. So it's more of a vinyasa, whether we think of it as or not. So there's that. And as Anuji has pointed out about Sri B.K.S. Iyengar, he realized this, and he was very careful in how he taught yoga, but he also taught asana, because he always He always tried to get you into a pose and keep you there. So that's an amazing trait that he had. And yes, so that's one thing. Anyway, I don't want to get too sidetracked because all these thoughts come into my head as I'm talking to you. I want to share with you as much as I can. So here we have the yama and niyama. They come first. So yama, I'd like to think of it as that which you should control. So what is it that you should control? You should control your tendency towards harming. Your tendency towards telling untruths, manipulating, cheating, those things. Your tendency towards possibly towards taking things that no one's giving it to you, but you're taking it from someone. You're not seeking permission. Well, let's just put it the way he puts it, stealing. Disciplining yourself in your sensory experiences, especially around intimacy, creating discipline about it. And to the point that if you choose to become a yogi, because a yogi is a renunciate, let us be clear. At the highest level, a yogi is a renunciate. So we won't go into that. We leave that part alone. But in our practice, we should at least take this to heart. Now, as I said earlier, the practice of asana is very, very strong in two ways. One, it can hurt you. The other is that, and I am sure of this, that it also increases testosterone. It can make, especially male teachers, it can make them anyway. You know where I'm going with this, and we have seen this recently in our community, that a lot of teachers are being called out for inappropriate behavior. If we are practicing the yama and the niyama, then that's not going to happen. But if we're not, that is one of the things that happens with asana. Your desires may increase. So we need to be careful around that. Okay, so coming back to, and then the fifth one, aparigraha. So the Sanskrit names, the first one is ahimsa. Himsa means to harm, so we choose not to harm. Satya, we choose to tell the truth. We choose to tell the truth. And asteya, we choose not to take things that haven't been given to us. Brahmacharya, we're very careful with our desires. We restrain them and keep them disciplined. And we find that actually makes, when we do have intimacy, it makes it much deeper. And finally, not to take aparigraha, not to take things from, not to hoard things. Greed, to not be greedy. So if we can control these, this is a parameter he's setting. If you can control these to whatever extent that you can control them, then we can move into the next. Now, this is niyama, and I like to translate it, and this is just my way of doing it. You see, the impulse to do harm is within us. So don't feel bad, it's there. You just have to control it. You don't have to carry guilt around it. You just have to control it. And we have learned since children how to lie to get what we want. So we just have to learn to control that. And, taking things that don't belong to us is also an impulse that exists within us. We just have to learn to control it. In other words, these negative impulses are part and package of who we are. but they don't serve us. They are aspects of ourselves that we have to overcome. So we should spend a little bit of time in trying to overcome them. And then, right, so we talked about not taking what isn't freely given to you, not overindulging in sensual pursuits, and finally, not hoarding. It just becomes heavy on you to hoard, and it prevents you from moving freely forward in your life. You get so attached to your possessions that you may get lost in them. Now, the niyama, I like to think of them as also impulses within you. They also exist within you. But these are positive impulses. And these we need to cultivate. We need to bring them out more. The first of them, socha, is purity or cleanliness. You can start with the body, just making sure that you do bathe, that you do take care of yourself, all the things that Ayurveda is teaching you to do. Do those things. That is socha. Do those things. What is implied in this text, well, it's not implied, it's stated clearly in the commentary, is that if you do it, if you start this way with the body, your mind also will start to seek purification. Automatically, your mind will start to, because you've already been lowering your negative impulses. So they're not going to pull you as much as they may have in the past. Your mind will automatically start moving towards the magnet rather than the gravitational pull of, no, gravitational is downwards, pulling you downwards into the darkness. But here you might be magnetically pulled up into the higher states of purity of the mind. And then santosha. All of us have santosha. We just, we don't recognize it. We think that we are not content. But contentment exists within us. If, for example, if you eat a good meal, you don't get up from the table still hungry. You get up from the table content. So contentment already exists within us. It's interfered with by desires. Some of these desires are needs, so we must fulfill them. But some of these desires may not be needs. They may just be wants, and then we should examine them. Are these desires actually going to help us on our path? Because remember, the end goal, the whole point is to get to a point to know who I am, or even more importantly, to know what peace is, what it is to be in a state of peace. Okay, so there is two, socha and santosha. Now we're back with the last three. Turns out that they are exactly the same with what we had to start with. Tapaha, swadhyaya, ishvara pranadhana. Except here, now he was tell us more. Tapaha now isn't just controlling your diet, controlling your speech, but it's also controlling sadvita, controlling your behavior. And it is also austerities, which is all of this, but it is also, on top of it all, building inner strength and resiliency. By this discipline, tapaha literally means discipline. By this discipline, we start to purify the dross of our being. And we watch ourselves turning back from rusty iron, watch ourselves turning back into beautiful gold. Right. Next is swadhyaya. Here, yes, of course, you may continue reading the appropriate text, but here swadhyaya is also very specific. You see, for those of us who are not going to be taking yoga to the state of renunciation, our yoga should actually help us with whatever our dharma is. Okay, so here swadhyaya becomes, what is my dharma? And I should be studying that. For instance, Dr. Anu's dharma is to teach Ayurveda. So that becomes her swadhyaya. Dr. Amy Wheeler's is to teach yoga therapy. So that becomes her swadharma. Somebody else may be an engineer. Can they take the yoga with them? Yes, 100%. As they study engineering, they take it with these steps with them. It is integrity that they will build into their engineering, into flying a commercial plane, into being a warrior, into whatever it is. What is your swadharma? Embrace it. And finally, Ishwar Pranidhan here means the same as in the beginning, that, you know, none of it belongs to you, you give it up. It also means, as we surrender, finding the immense gratitude that comes with realization that you are held, that you are held, that there is some higher force, whether it's internal, whether it's external, whether you want to call it God, whatever you want to call it, Ishvara, you know, the indwelling principle, whatever you want to call it, you are held. We are held in a safety net, and the immense gratitude that can come from knowing that. So how, over here, it means learning to chant. And chanting can be in any language or without a language. Chanting is just the sound of the soul. It's the song of the soul. So that's what it means. So here, if we start with this and we bring it to where we are, for instance, for me, it may be that, ahimsa. Okay, I find myself sometimes being a little mean to my partner. Okay, she does something that irritates me. So I'm a little mean to my partner. Well, tomorrow I catch myself before I do that and I don't do it. Then I can say to myself that today the impulse arose and I stopped it. I stopped the impulse. And as you do this, it may get easier. Tomorrow you may find that twice you did it. You don't beat yourself up because on day one you were mean to your partner 3 times, but only 1 time you caught yourself. So you're grateful that you weren't mean to your partner 4 times. 4 times. You were only mean 3 times. Tomorrow maybe it'll be 2 times, and so on. So like this, we can teach ourselves. When we find ourselves the desire to tell the truth, because it comes in, especially in Kali Yuga, it comes so easily, we hold back and instead we tell the truth. And so things like this as we go forward. Now, yes. So if there's any questions, please, I'm happy to answer them. But I will next go into asana. Dr. Anu, is this okay? Is this what you wanted?
Yes, Sarunji.
Okay.
Good, good. Yeah. Good.
So when it comes to asana, the text is very clear. And so some complain that, you know, we've turned yoga into asana but in the text, there's only 3 sutras on asana. So why doesn't he tell us all these different asanas and everything like that? The reality is, asana needs to be learned from your teachers. He just tells you that there is asana. And he tells you in those 3 sutras, everything you need to know about asana. First sutra tells you what is asana. Second sutra tells you how to achieve it. And third sutra tells you what the end result of it is. So first one is sthira sukham asanam. That means that asana means seat. So I can take a seat in whatever position I wish to. In that seat, I must be comfortable and I must be steady. I must be comfortable and I must be steady. Sthiram sukham. Okay? That's it. If you're not comfortable and not steady, it's not an asana. How should I get there? Prayatna satalya ananta samaptibhyam. Okay? So very easy. Prayatna, I must put effort into what I am doing. Satilya, my effort must be effortless. Hmm? And Ananta Samatibhyam, there's a lot of controversy around translating the sutra. So I will tell you what my teacher told me. He said that, and his teacher was Krishnamacharya. He said that Krishnamacharya said that no, here it is prayatna, means the effort you're putting in is the effort of life. The effort of life. And the clue is that ananta also refers to breath. So if this is correct, and this is how I have been practicing, and ever since I started practicing like this, my asana practice has completely changed, and it has served me much more than it used to in the past. What it is saying is that the breath must be the guide to your asana practice. And the breath must be effortless. This is how to do your asana. At any point you find that your breath requires extra effort, you must stop. You must find your breath and then keep going. And when you do this, then you will find that your practice opens up effortlessly. Effortlessly. Okay? So this is how to do it. And the third is, what is the point? What will I get if I do this? Tato dvandva abhikatasya. Then what will happen is that the pairs of opposites, especially hot and cold, the pairs of opposites do not control us. They do not interfere with us. So the whole point of asana is to get to a point where your body is no longer a distraction, where you can stay in a specific position for an extended period of time. So you might think, okay, I've done asana, I can sit in this position for an extended period of time. Oh, there is one other aspect to asana that I should mention quickly, and that is that the commentaries also say that asana removes rajas from the mind. How amazing is that? This sattvic exercise is rajasic in the sense that it's about doing a movement. You do it in such a point that your rajas goes, oh, I'm happy, I can stop. And that's what we want. We want it to stop. So we take rajas and we direct it towards sattva. As we direct it towards sattva, oh, yes, I'm happy, I can stop. So this is a great additional aspect of asana when it is done properly. Now, you may think, okay, I've done asana, I can sit quietly, why can't I just go into my meditation? You cannot, because you also have to clear tamas. And to clear tamas, the texts say very clearly, pranayama clears the clouds in the mind better than anything else. Now, there is more to pranayama. It says, the text says, tasmin sati, shwasa prashwasa, vicheda pranayama. So, tasmin sati means having taken my seat. He's making it very clear. Pranayama has to be done after you have done asana. When you found your seat, then you do pranayama. Now, you may say that in asana, I just said do breathing. Breathing and pranayama is two different things. Pranayama itself has parameters. Pranayama itself has two meanings. One is to lengthen your prana, increase your prana. And the second is to control your prana. How do we control our prana? Prana is a jivana shakti. It is basically, it is an impulse within you that happens automatically on its own all through your life, and it keeps you alive. What the text says is, no, we will not leave it unconscious. We will make our breathing conscious. We will then, swasha praswasha means my inhale and my exhale, vicheda, I will interfere with them. I will interfere with them. I will even break them. I will even separate them. Why? So I can get to know my breath completely, understand the science of the breath, which is a whole beautiful text called Shiva Sarvadaya. And I can begin to, as I control my breath, I control my life. I control my life force. So pranayama there becomes about controlling my breathing by bringing my consciousness into it, first and foremost. And then, of course, he goes on to say the next sutra, there are 9 parameters to Bahya, Abhyantar, Stambha, Deshakala, Sankhya Vihi, and so on. This is 9 parameters. I won't bore you with this. You can go ahead and learn it from your teachers. So pranayama comes next. Now that you've cleared the mind, you've also made, if you can control your life force, you can control your mind. So you begin to control your mind. As you are doing this, we come to pratyahara. Ahara we know is, because you're Ayurvedic students, you know ahara. Ahara means what you take in. So pratyahara means that I will not take in. I will, it is not that the senses are no longer active, but I'm trying to withdraw them. In Ayurveda, we know that, the mind begins in the heart, and, and that it expands all over the body, especially through the sensorial channels, and attaches to the sense organs. So pratyahara is, Yoga Nidra is a perfect example of pratyahara. It's drawing the senses back in towards the heart, drawing them in, so that you are not distracted by the outside world. So now we have stopped being distracted by our impulses. We've cultivated our positive impulses. We're not distracted by by our body because we've controlled our body through asana. We're not, excuse me, we're not distracted by our mind because we've controlled our breathing. I'm sorry, not our mind, our life force. We have control over it. Now I control my senses and bring them in, so I am not distracted by the outside world. It's not that the outside world, I'm not aware of it. If there's any danger or something like that, I will immediately respond, but I'm not distracted by it. I'm not being pulled away from it. So now I can come to samyama, or the 3 inner steps. And what are the 3 inner steps? The first one is just learning to focus, dharana, just learning to take one object and see if you can stay with it. And we find that, in fact, yes, it is true, our mind is a monkey. It does not like to stay with one thing. It wants to jump from here to there and everything. One of the ways my teacher explained it is how we know our mind is a jumping monkey is because I have a thought, and my thought creates a second thought that is related to my first thought. And if I'm really truly concentrating, my third thought is still related to my second and my first thought. But by the time I get to my fourth thought, it's of something completely else, something completely different, and I go away from that. And then I move from here to there, to there, to there, and suddenly I find, oh, I'm nowhere with that first thought that I had, and I've been trying to stay with it. So that's the jumping mind. So there's 2 parts to this. One is that you have to do it. You just keep doing it, and you do get better. And the second part to it is the mind is a monkey. After some time, it's going to look at this one thought or this one thing that you've been putting and then go, what's so great about this thing that this person just wants to keep going back to it? Let me go and check it out. When it does, and if that's something that you've been putting your mind on means something to you, then your monkey mind will stay with it. Like it would stay with the banana. It'll stay with it. It'll stay with it. And now you are in dharana. I'm sorry, in dhyan. Now you can examine it. It's like the monkey examining the banana for seeing a banana for the first time. It doesn't know it's the tastiest thing in the world. It's examining it. What is this thing? And then eventually it'll start to peel it. So you start to peel it. You start to peel this one thing you've been staying with. And eventually it finds the beautiful fruit inside, and you find the beautiful fruit inside. Now you go looking for bananas. So now you will not be satisfied unless you find a banana. So now all those other steps, previous steps, become easy. You never stop doing them. You never stop doing them. And you stay with this. And as you do this, you get to a place where all of a sudden you find that for a little while, that awareness of you as an entity also is not there. There is only that object, nothing else. And this is the first stage of samadhi. What we can translate in English as absorption. This is the first state of absorption. So absorbed, you forget yourself. Now, let's not think of this as something that is unusual. Come on, all of you know this. Sometimes you go to the ocean and you see the sunset, and it is the most beautiful thing you've ever seen that particular day, and for a moment you forget yourself. So we all have already an experience of samadhi. We're just building that bigger and bigger and bigger. So now, yes. So if we look at it from this point of view, from the traditional point of view, we can see that yoga is, first of all, the highest goal of yoga is to find yourself. Second of all, the starting steps of yoga is to control your diet and your speech, to study what is appropriate, and to not be attached. And the third meaning of yoga is the Ashtanga, the 8 limbs, and practicing those. So, yes. So, Anuji had asked me also to see if I would lead you in a little breath-based practice. And I thought we would try a very simple one. So if you like, we have a few minutes. And if you like, we will try a very simple one that kind of embodies all of what we've been talking about. So if you will, please, and you can turn on your cameras so I may see you, and not if you don't want to. But it'll be easier for me to direct you if I can see at least one or two of you. That'll be good. Turn on your cameras. Okay, very good. Got my dear friend Mila with her camera on, and Nora with her camera on, Anuji. So please stand. Stand if you can. And you don't even have to see me because I'm not going to demonstrate. I'm just going to guide you with words. Yes. So what I'd like you to do is stand, if you will, with your feet hip width apart. I have noticed in the past that when I say hip width apart, very often people tend to stand with their feet much wider than their hips. So yeah, I like to tell people your hips are not as wide as you think they are. So please stand with your feet directly under the width of your hips and keep your arms by your sides. And having done this, make sure that your feet are parallel to each other. You don't want to be pigeon-toed, and nor do you want your feet turning outwards. You just want them to be facing forward. Stand there, and the first thing I want you to do is just find your breath. It's there. It's always there. Take your mind to it. Find it. As you find your breath, bring your awareness to your breath. I am inhaling. I am exhaling. You may find that your inhale and your exhale have a gap between them. Pay attention to that. And you may find that between your exhale and your inhale, there is a gap. What I'd like you to do is make sure that your breath is comfortable, that it is steady. That in fact, for this particular exercise, the inhale and the exhale are of equal duration. And that your breath is as effortless as you can make it. And if we want to take it a little bit deeper, it almost sounds like you can hear your breath in the back of your throat. Take 3 such breaths right into the very center of your chest, known as pranasthana. Keeping this breathing, on your next inhale, from in front, just with the breath, inhale, take your arms up, 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 as high as they'll go. And on your exhale, bring your arms straight down the center line. Exhale, 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 exhale. We'll try that a couple more times. As you're ready, instead of taking your arms out from the sides, if it is possible, take them out from in front. Otherwise, take them from the sides. Inhale, 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 inhale. You didn't know you could inhale for that long, did you? Exhale, 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 exhale. One more time on your own, please. Beautiful, beautiful. Now what I'd like you to do, and you're going to need to fix your gaze at a point to do this, you're going to do what you just did, except you're going to come up on your toes. So it's best to keep your gaze fixed on one point. My teacher would say 6 feet in front of you, so your chin is slightly tucked, but you'll find a point. You could also, some people say it is better to find a point straight in front of your eyes. That's fine too. Find a point you can fix your gaze on, and remember that when you go up, what's going to destabilize you is the mound under your big toe, most likely. So even as you press the toes into the floor, make sure the mound of the big toe does not get destabilized. And when you're coming down, you have to really press the mound of the little toe into the floor so that your feet don't fall in. Let's try it. Ready? Inhale, coming up on your toes, taking the arms up, reaching, going up as high as you can, pausing at the top, exhaling, coming down, bringing your heels down, if possible, just as slow as you went up. 2 more times. Inhale, come on up. Exhale, bring the heels down carefully and slowly if you can. The effort is what counts. Inhale, one more time. Exhale, coming down as deliberately as you can. And we'll pause here for a moment. So what we're going to try now is just a step further in the very same exercise. So you'll take your arms, inhale slightly forward and lift your heels slightly. You'll pause. Then you'll inhale some more, lifting your heels even more and taking your arms maybe 3/4 of the way up, and pause. And then you lift your heels all the way and take your arms all the way up and pause. And then you'll exhale 1/3 of the way down, both your arms and your heels, and pause. 2/3 of the way down and pause. All the way down. So Let's try this 3 times. If you did a trial run already, that's wonderful. We'll just go with it. When you're ready, inhale up 1/3, hold. Inhale up 2/3, hold. Inhale all the way. Exhale 1/3. Exhale 2/3. Exhale all the way down. On your own, please do it 2 more times. And yes, beautiful. Beautiful. Excellent. Thank you. Now, please come back to your seats and just sit and notice your breath. As you notice your breath, also notice your mind. Thank you very much. There are 5 minutes left. I'm going to hand those 5 minutes back to Anuji.
Thank you, Arunji. Thank you very much. It was a great presentation and also the great breathing exercise too, and overview about yoga in detail. So it's the first time I think our Ayurvedic program having the International Yoga Day celebration, and I'm sure it's just a beginning. Next year we will plan it in advance, and hopefully we can have more students and our ISCU family here. And so thank you everyone. Thank you so much who took the time, even though it's a Father's Day, took the time and coming here to get together. If anybody want to open your microphone and speak about, maybe this is the best time. So I would like to hear from you guys, if possible. If you're okay with that, please feel free to talk. Anyone? Mila, Vanessa?
I would like to say, hi, this is Helene.
Hi, Helen.
Hi, Dr. Manu. Thank you so much to everyone that put this on today. I learned so much this morning, and this was an amazing and wonderful experience. Thank you.
Thank you, Helen. Okay. I see some new, I don't know, there is Meryl. I'm not sure she's SCU student. So it looks like we have someone outside SCU also, but thanks for coming. And so we can end the session with a small prayer, if that is okay with you all. Meryl, namaste. Thank you for joining. Yeah. I see all the camera on. If you don't mind, maybe we can take a picture, all of us together, because this is the history for our program, the first time doing the International Yoga Day celebration. We usually do Ayurveda Day celebration. So are you all okay in taking the picture? Or if anybody say no, then we won't take it, because I would like everybody's okay with the thing. If you're okay, right, thumbs up. Okay, Susan, Sandra, I don't see you all, so I'm hoping that Susan message I see. And there is someone by Holly Vibes. Are you okay taking the picture? And that's fine, Raji. Yeah. And Anu, there is a person by name Anu and Anna Brown. If you are okay. Anu, are you okay? Okay, so I'm hoping that their camera is off. So Mila, do you know I'm going to take it like this, right? Hopefully this should work. Smiley face. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, good. Thank you. Thanks a lot. So we'll do a small chanting before we end. Okay, so sit in a comfortable position. Make sure your spine is straight. And if you are okay with that, please participate in the chanting. Close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale it out. Let go all the stress and pain and discomfort from your body and mind. Breathe in. The new prana is coming to your body and mind. And exhaling it out. Let's chant Omkara 3 times. Keep your hands, both the palms together to the center of the chest. You can also participate with me. You can allow your microphone on if you're okay with that. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti 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 Hari Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha Hari Om. Please repeat after me. Peace to the body.
Peace to the body.
Peace in my mind.
Peace in my mind.
Peace in my soul.
Peace in my soul.
Peace surrounding me everywhere.
Peace surrounding me everywhere.
Peace surrounding me everywhere.
Peace surrounding me everywhere.
I am happy.
I am happy.
I have lots and lots of energy.
I have lots and lots of energy.
I love myself.
I love myself.
And I love everyone.
And I love everyone.
Everyone. I love everyone with a smiling, beautiful face. Open your eyes with a smiling face. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Namaste. That was beautiful.
Namaste. Hopefully we'll see all of you next year, June 21st. Thank
Namaste.
you. Namaste. Thank you.